Welcome back into a brand new episode of Tribal Council Chat. As always, we are your hosts. My name is Bruce Heller,
And my name's Brett Parnell.
and this is an exciting episode. This is kicking off our first ever Survivor rewatch as a show.
That we are. Um, was a so we are, as we doing Survivor Vanuatu. This was such a fun premiere. But Bruce, I gotta ask you something before we start.
Okay.
Was it weird watching Survivor that is 60 minutes and in this case no commercials? You're just like, holy shit, this is already over.
A little bit, but it's what I was used to for so long.
It's
So,
true. I watched the premiere twice because I'm watching on the DVD set, not on the subscription, so I have both the episode in its raw form, but I also have some episodes have a are muted with a commentary with the cast sitting in a boardroom doing it together. So I was watching it again, and both times I'm just like, it's over already. How did we ever watch this show when it wasn't 90 minutes and a third of the episodes were 2 hours?
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
It definitely flew by,
yeah.
but it was so much fun.
Oh, it was. And I think maybe too that this was like really back in the day when even premieres were 60 minutes. So that probably contributed it to it flying by. We
Yeah.
had a quarter of the episode taken up by just the opening, which is amazing. This is probably one of the best openings ever.
It is.
And that's where I kind of want to start and flash into what I was saying that I might have some um inside knowledge on different episodes if I can get the commentaries or any bonus features on them. The opening, what did you think?
Okay, so I remembered, and we'll kind of recap this more in detail in a second. I remembered that there was this like opening ceremony with the locals. This was so much more and crazier than I was remembering.
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
was a lot.
Um, Interesting fact that I got from the bonus feature on the DVD. Mark Burnett did an interview on this exact opening, and he says, "I once, when I was younger in the UK, read a novel that had to do with people being stranded on an island and greeted by the natives, and they had to go through a ceremony. So he said, we all got the idea here because that is authentic to Vanuatu of bringing something that he remembered as a kid into life."
Yeah.
But yeah, that was intense when compared to, say, what you might remember as like, oh yeah, there was a lot of people. Now you're talking about, I mean, I guess let's start from the beginning. Bubba trying to get in a canoe. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was one of my notes here. Well, my first note is I get I guess Travis in the canoe is first, but I have our sorry. My first note, before we even get to getting out of the boat, our boat is approaching the island, and then about a million rafts filled with locals
Yeah.
start approaching us. And we learn that castaways have to be granted access to the land first. They'll take part in this like tribal ritual.
I had to laugh at this from the commentary where you say that castaways had to be granted access to the land because Jeff says that exact line. And in the commentary, Eliza goes, "Haven't we been staying in a hotel here for like the past 6 days?"
That's amazing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I have it down on my notes as Travis because that they put his real name on the screen and we didn't know he was Bubba yet.
Yeah.
But he's talking about how he's happy that they have canoes to get to the island, because he only learned to swim 6 weeks ago, so he's not good at swimming. And then cut immediately to as he's getting off of the boat and into the canoe, he falls into the water and tips his canoe over. So he has to swim
Knocking
anyway.
himself and one of the indigenous tribesmen and scout all into the ocean.
We got a lot of him in this premiere, by the way.
We did.
I wrote that as a note down as I think he's going to go fairly far based off of how... And you know I'm not an edit reader the way you are, but there's no way they gave us that much of him, and he's going to be an early boot.
Fair.
So...
another thing I had written down just from exiting the boat. Isn't it amazing to go back and watch an episode of Survivor where when Jeff says get off the boat, everyone just starts getting off the boat. They're not wondering what could be hidden underneath a box on the boat.
Yeah, it's great. I love it so much, actually. 2004 was just such a simpler time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Both in the real world and in Survivor.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's... And I wrote that down later, but because we mentioned him, Travis/Bubba, that's a prediction of mine, because I don't know about you, I don't remember the entire boot order, and even if I did, we're approaching this rewatch as if we haven't seen it, so...
Yeah, I remember most of it. I don't remember don't remember a ton from the actual season and like exactly what happens other than a few key moments throughout the season, but I think I have a good idea of who's going to go where.
But we're approaching this as if we haven't seen it, so with that in mind, I'm thinking Bubba's going far based off of airtime in this premiere. Because he was kind of the narrator of this episode, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mentioned, first of all, the million rafts approaching you out of nowhere, that's got to be a bit frightening, right?
It's got to be a little... I mean, I would love to see something like this. Yeah. It would be fascinating. It's also different. What I found unique is how different some people approached it. So, like, we see Bubba struggling to get into the canoe. In contrast, it gave me a Marquesas moment, which I just watched a couple episodes of recently, where it's not Sarah anymore that looks like royalty. It's Leanne that's coming in as the queen.
Yeah. Well, and frightened might not be the right word, but a little disconcerting seeing those rafts appear. And if the rafts didn't throw you off a little bit, this will, because when we arrive on the beach, a bunch of like the locals and the people come running up to us holding spears and jabbing the spears at us. Well, all of them, I say us, I wasn't there, jabbing spears at all of them, except Rory.
Yeah.
Who takes that as, hey, I guess another black man is automatically welcome on the island.
That was a funny confessional.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, go back to the commentary. It was funny at this point because I think that it's just that Eliza is at this point even being one of if not the youngest castaway. She has so much international experience in her upbringing and going to school abroad and whatnot that everyone there is saying that they were nervous. Meanwhile, you can tell facially that Eliza is just enjoying the experience.
Yeah. And so after we get jabbed with spears for a little while, our ceremony starts, and the men and women are separated apart. And my note here says the men are being welcomed and the women are being ignored a bit so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, that did not stay ignored a bit. That was, the women were ignored completely this entire ceremony almost.
Yeah.
Which stinks for them, because this was really cool.
It does.
We can't
tell other cultures how to do things, but it was unfortunate.
We see a pig slaughtered right in front of us.
To which Dolly is completely fine with because she is a sheep farmer.
I wrote that down. She's a shepherdess and says she raises sheep for that same purpose and is just shrugging it off.
Yeah.
I think the guys get, like, the locals put some of the pig blood on their faces,
Yeah.
which is cool. We see a lot of dancing. We see a lot of fire. We also see the men get a chance to receive this stone from the top of a pole greased with pig fat. And if they can't get it, the women get it.
Which, unlike, say, some other twists later, didn't necessarily have any impact on the game, but it was still cool to see.
I was going to say, does this stone have a power or anything? Or is it just, hey, you get to have this?
No, you just get to have it. Apparently, it has power to the people that live there.
Oh, okay. Because we saw, like, and I'm kind of rusty on how this worked, but we saw the, like, medallion of power in Nicaragua where that would change hands.
Yeah.
I didn't know if this was, like, that type of thing. I didn't think it did anything. I would have caught him saying it if it did. But yeah, at the top of a pole greased with I thought this would take longer for them to get than it did. They get it pretty quickly.
They did get it pretty quickly. I gotta say, it didn't surprise me watching it. If you look at his background, they picked Brady to climb the pole.
Yeah.
Which he's chosen by the indigenous people in Vanuatu randomly within the group of the men.
Yeah.
Did they ever pick the right person to climb that pole? If you look into his background, they have the FBI thing as his job title, but Brady has also served in the Marine Corps. So I'm sure he has some experience doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, probably. And so
He knew, you noticed right away, and Chad pointed this out on the DVD, that the second Brady gets up, they tell him that the pole's greased with pig fat. He right away knows, kind of like a baseball player, to spit on your hands and get the sand on them so you get a better grip.
yeah, that's so smart. Good
Yeah.
for him. And after he gets this, the heavens absolutely open up here. Rain starts pouring.
And the cast has confirmed on DVD that there was no artificial rain here. This was 100% legit.
I'm gonna be honest. Artificial rain didn't even cross my mind. I just assumed this was real. Like, do they add? They don't add artificial rain, do they?
Not in Survivor. They do in, like, movies and stuff.
I know, but Survivor prides itself on, like, everything being real. Yeah. So,
but at the time, I think some people questioned with this rainstorm, like, oh, there was no chance. The cast said it was 100% real.
Which, if you're not used to Survivor, that's a fair assumption, because good lord, it rained so much. So heavily, did it not?
Yeah, it poured. Not maybe as, I mean, I don't know. I don't remember how much it rains on this whole season. It's not like we hear from Russell with Samoa, but it pours.
Oh, yeah. And then we get our tribe divisions and our buffs, and we learn that we have our second ever men versus women season. The men get red buffs, they're Lopevi. The women get yellow buffs, they're Yasur. And by the way, I wouldn't mind...
Amazon, so 4 seasons later, we're doing it again.
3 seasons later.
3 seasons, yeah, you're right.
And I will say this. On the 50 finale, you and I talked about the open era and how Probe says anything they've ever done is a possibility again.
Yeah.
I would love to see a, like, modern era men versus women season. We haven't had a, like, men versus women since 24.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting to see. It would probably be harder to do now in the age of more inclusive gender policies, but if they were to try to pull it off, I would certainly be down for it.
Yeah. And since anything is available, let's just, like, if we're bringing back men versus women, bring back the one world thing also.
Yeah.
Give that a run with a good cast.
They should bring back the one world thing on the next returning season. Like a second chance or something.
It's not a good season, but it's a fun concept.
It is. And I think One World could have been a much better season if it had a better cast.
Do I think we'll ever get men versus women again or One World again? No, but that's what my mind went to seeing these tribe divisions was, oh, I'd love to see that again.
Nice. Yeah.
But as we get divided and we learn it, we get a confessional here from Chris that, like, by the way, Chris has a roller coaster of an episode because this confessional I read you made me thinking, oh, he's on a different level than everyone. Then I spent most of the episode thinking he was going home. And just crazy episode for him. But he says to us in a confessional here, I'd rather be on a tribe with men. I can manipulate 8 men a lot quicker than 8 women. Women stick together and they're thick as thieves. They're deeply mistrusting. I can manipulate men a lot easier.
Which is very interesting because we all know what happens later in the season.
Yes, but we're pretending we don't.
I know we're pretending we're not, but sometimes we have to bring it up when we can tell that they edited something into the show to make you think back of that confessional when Chris wins the game and say, there we go. That was a clue from week 1.
Yeah. It's
going to come up.
If you're watching this season with us for the first time, I guess we're not completely spoiler free, but we'll try to be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think many people are watching for the first time.
I don't think so, but I'd like to think it's fun to think someone is.
Fair enough.
But, like, yeah, this is just such a brilliant, like, because he's right, like, men and women each have their strengths, but when it comes to, like, mental fortitude, like, what Chris is saying is right, men are more easily tricked or manipulated, so
yeah.
He's on a brilliant track here. And if you're watching this episode...
By Tony or Morgan.
Yeah. If you're watching this episode, he's in trouble for most of it. But, like, man, he's off to such a good start here, confessional-wise. I also wrote down as we were leaving the ceremony, I really felt for the women. They didn't get near as much of the experience here.
Yeah.
And then their trouble, not that that was really a problem or trouble, but their troubles continue as they have trouble finding their camp because we don't really have a map. We're just walking till we see a flag.
And that's both tribes.
Yeah, but the women, we get this scene here, and both tribes have trouble, but the women are first. And they kind of have this stopping point where they can't decide whether to stop for the night or keep going or turn around. Yeah. And none of them want to make a decision.
So this was an interesting moment in the commentary because Eliza said this whole debate on should we stop for the night or kept going, really all the women sat out of it other than 2, Eliza and Scout.
Yeah.
And Eliza was saying Scout wanted to stop. I instantly spoke up and said, no, we have to keep going. And Eliza said at that point, I'm like, thankfully, most of them agreed with me because that's why we did it and I didn't get voted out first.
Yeah, that is interesting. 1 second. I hear something. What are you doing? I heard something rattling on the table in the next room, and my dog's over there, and I didn't know what was happening. But
everything okay?
Yeah, I'm gonna close the door to the room I'm in. Hey, come here. No, there's a plate over there with cane sauce on it that I don't know what to do with you. But yeah, and this moment is hard anyway. I'm the type of person, I don't like to make decisions if I'm in a group that's more than just me. Like, I don't like making decisions for groups or even just me and my mom or me and one other person. But it's even harder because this is the first night. This is your first impression. You don't, even if you do have an idea or know the right thing, you don't want to seem bossy or pushy or come off the wrong way, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, how do you ever find your camp when you have a whole group all thinking the same thing?
That's true. But Chad was saying on the DVD that the men actually had the exact same debate.
Interesting. We didn't see it nearly as long with them.
No, we probably got enough content from the men at the ceremony from CBS's
Yeah,
perspective.
because my next note is the men found their flag.
Yeah, Chad was saying that they also had the same discussion, but ended up deciding to proceed. So both tribes made the same decision.
Yeah. And so the women do find their flag eventually, and kind of that tension is resolved for now,
Yeah.
at least on the surface. We get more tension boiling under the surface later, but we'll get there. So, and we're there, apparently, is where my notes are. So we're at Yasur, and the women are gathering supplies. They're building shelter. And we see some of the younger girls out in the ocean. They're doing sand scrubs on their faces, and they're bonding. And we get a confessional from Scout here that is just, I don't know how to describe it, but she calls them boneheads and compares them to cattle and says all of their favorite topics are themselves. This is a bit extreme, to say the least.
It's funny to watch, but at the same time, that takes me back to the mindset of BB versus the mindset of Rudy back in Borneo.
Yeah.
And not a good position for Scout to be in. Because there's her and Twyla, and there's everybody else.
And I mean, both of them, but Scouts who we're talking about, they are going to go through this game expecting people to conform to them.
Yeah.
And I feel like, again, I remember a lot of the basics. I don't remember every boot order, everything that happened. Those two are going to butt heads with people.
Mm-hmm.
But we go to Lopevi, and the guy, this is funny, they're trying to start a fire. They get a hot ember even, and then just don't know what to do with the ember. They're like, cool, we have an ember. And then it dies.
Funny thing there coming from the DVD is that you notice he meant to say hot ember. If you actually listen to Brook's accent, it sounds like he's saying hot amber, to which Eliza says, that's at Rob's house, not on your beach.
That's awesome. I love that. It did sound like he was saying amber, but I knew the word was ember, so it didn't faze me.
This is 6 months after
All-Stars.
The All-Stars finale.
But we also get, so after that, we're still at camp. They've had their moment with their hot ember that they didn't know what to do with, which also impressive that they even got the ember, by the way.
Yeah.
Chad just pulls a great move here, and he goes, hey guys, look at this. And like has those pants that used to be popular.
Yeah.
Or like they unzip and become shorts. And he like zips his pant leg off, and it's like a prosthetic leg from the knee down, isn't it?
Yeah.
And just no introduction, no hey, I've got some news. Just, hey guys, look.
Well, he did smartly ask before he removed the pant leg. He asked his whole tribe, have I been performing weaker than anybody else on the way over here?
Yeah, and
which they all said no, and then he showed them. That was brilliant strategy by Chad.
Also, what I wrote down was so brilliant is he didn't do this immediately. He waited until after they had already done a lot of physically demanding stuff.
Yeah. Chad mentioned in the video that that was on day 2. He said he had to at that point because it was 2 days of sweating.
Yeah. But if you do that immediately, maybe not everyone, but some people are going to think of you as a physical liability because of that leg, right or wrong. By waiting until day 2,
and other people
after you've done all this physical stuff already, they know you're good for it.
Yeah. And then he just has to deal with people possibly thinking that he's an FTC threat, which we get a little bit of.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't get like tackled in an attempt to get like an idol or something out of a basket.
Well, good thing Fuch had an idol hasn't been invented yet.
That doesn't come until 11 seasons later on
No, well,
Nicaragua.
that does 11 seasons later. An idol comes in 2 seasons later.
Idol comes 2 seasons later, but like my very specific like person with a prosthetic leg getting tackled.
Was in 21. So yeah,
Yeah,
11 seasons later.
from one of Brett's very favorites, Nayanka Mixon did the tackling there.
One of my least favorite contestants and one of my least favorite seasons, all in one.
Yeah, one of our least favorites and quit the
If
game
I'm doing
also.
if I'm doing a 50 season rewatch and I get to Nicaragua, I go, do I really want to complete this? Okay, fine. Fabio will make me laugh.
So it's me with Thailand and Xi'an and the boat.
Yeah,
And the group auction. I
I love
didn't
that.
like it at first. I was like, of course Thailand messes with the auction of all seasons. But the more I think about it, the group auction is interesting.
Yeah,
But so we're already at the challenge,
we are.
which we haven't got a lot of camp life, but like the opening ceremony was like half of the pre-challenge episode.
Yeah.
And the way this works is all 9 tribe members go beneath this mud crawl, and then 3 of them solve a box maze. And after that, they all have to cross over a narrow balance beam one by one, and then they light a fire that burns through a rope and drops a torch.
That's right. Interesting to see fire making not in Final Four.
Yeah. And so the men get out to a lead. They get to the balance beam first. But boy, oh boy, do they struggle on the balance beam. And
Do
like
they ever?
a few
And
of them do, but one guy specifically struggles way more than everyone else.
And if you remember back to Amazon, this is the second men's versus women's season, and it's the second season where a balance beam totally evens the playing field and gives the woman the win in the first challenge.
And if you think back to that Amazon premiere, the guy that struggled on the balance beam most goes home. And
Yeah.
the guy that kind of cost them the challenge. And so we talked about Chris earlier, and he had that strategic confessional, and his mind was already working. He kind of cost the men the challenge here, single-handedly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the women win, and I wrote down Chris may be going home here, because, I mean, that's the way it looks, right?
Yeah, it does look that way. But at the same time, Sarge has other ideas.
And the thing with this show is the person that seems like the obvious boot early almost never actually goes in that episode.
Yeah, very true.
But we go back to Lopevi Beach. We're in the ocean washing the mud off. And like Chris has a funny moment. It's lighthearted. He goes, "So, getting to know everyone better. I'm Chris. I'm not great at balance." And they all laugh. So like he's not doesn't seem like he's taking it too hard or beating himself up about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he tells us in a confessional right after that. He says, "In this game, you outlast and you outwit people. You don't outbalance."
Yep.
And like, yes,
Got that right.
but yes, he's right. But my note was, if you are that bad in a challenge right off the bat, you don't get the chance to do the other 2 things, or you may not. And especially back then, like it's still my philosophy now that's kind of fading a tiny bit modern era. But like back then, your whole thing was stay away from tribal, keep the tribe strong. If you're a liability physically in the challenges, you're gone, you know? So like,
That's
yes,
generally the philosophy of Survivor back in this time.
And I would argue, like, that would still be my philosophy pre-merge. It's just stay away from tribal.
But
But
then I guess the question is you have to ask yourself, that was just one element of one challenge. Does that mean that Chris is going to be the weakest physical player on that tribe? Probably not.
it does not, but what my thought was the way he goes, oh, you outwit and you outlast, you don't out. It kind of sounds like he's dismissing challenge performance almost, which could be dangerous too.
It could be. I just don't think that you're going to necessarily have a balance component in every single challenge. I think you have to look at what's coming ahead of you, not what already passed.
True.
And maybe I'm looking too much at it in the new era game where now it seems that we can predict the challenges and predict the rewards and so on and so forth. I don't think they were thinking that way at the time.
Isn't it
But
so
there's
nice?
still a good idea to say, on average, who's going to be our strongest challenge competitors, not who messed up in one challenge that we've already done and we're probably not going to do again.
How nice is it to have a challenge that doesn't end in a puzzle, by the way?
Yeah, very true.
Nothing against puzzles, but we always end in puzzles now.
Yeah.
It's predictable. So, we then see, like you said, Sarge has plans. He wants to team up with Chris and have the older guys vote out one of the younger guys before the younger guys take the advantage and control of this tribe. Smart move.
That he does. Also, yeah, very smart move. If you're in that older position, you want to make sure you hold any power that you have.
Yeah. And so we're already on our way to tribal here somehow. And the vote seems like it's gonna be Chris, but like Sarge and Chris are starting to cook something up. And like right before we leave camp for tribal, I forget who it is. Someone mentions that people are questioning Rory's effort, which we got no content of. Like, what are your thoughts as we leave camp for tribal council here?
At this point, I think the way I'm reading it, if I don't know what happens, and in this one I didn't until the very last second, I was able to remember it, but I'm sitting there going, we've got a lot of content from Sarge, Chris, Chad, that kind of group.
Travis.
Travis. We haven't got a ton from Brook, from John, from Brady. So I think it's one of them going, and therefore Brook's the most likely as his name's being thrown out.
I also had no memory of his name whatsoever.
Yeah, he was the only person in this game that I was like, who is that? Leading me to then assume he goes first.
He came on my screen. I'm like, wait, there's a guy named Brook on this season?
Like, I had memories of John Kay. I had memories of Brady. I had memories of Dolly, of Mia. I did not know who he was.
And if you're watching, as you can guess, Brook does go home. We heard a lot from Travis / Bubba at Tribal. That's where my note was. We've heard a lot from him this episode.
The Vegas Golden Knights have just won Game 1.
Yeah, I saw that. We get a 5-3 to 1 vote.
That we do.
5 on Brook, 3 on Chris, and I'm heading to Wikipedia now because I forget who it was, but someone votes for Rory.
Odd in a game that doesn't have idols.
Let's see. Brady voted for Rory.
Kind of tells you that Brady might not be trusted by all the younger guys.
Yeah. But I wrote down, Chris barely escapes. He gets a second chance in life in this game to recover. Because he's shown us potential mentally and strategically. He had that great comment of, I can like I can manipulate, I can direct men easier than women.
Yep.
And we had like him kind of understanding that he like one balance beam won't shake him. So I'm glad he escaped this, but he barely escaped.
Yeah. Did he ever?
So
One of a few times that we could have had a winner go home on day one.
yeah.
Nick is another one in 37.
Well, and not a winner, but Suri could have gone home day one in Panama.
Yep. Some crazy things to think about.
Like, if you're new to Survivor and don't know who Suri is, and you watch the first episode of that season, you probably think she's going home partway through when she
Yeah.
talks about how much she hates leaves.
Yeah, I thought she was going home that day. And then it cuts to Tina, who is having her own emotional struggles out there with her family's situation, and you go, Sui might got a bit of a shot.
Yeah. And so Chris escapes. He gets a second chance at life. This was a fun episode.
It was.
What are you kind of looking for heading into episode 2?
Heading into episode 2, I'm looking forward getting more time in camp and trying to see kind of where sub-alliances are working. And yes, we seem on both tribes to have almost the Exile Island thing of younger men, younger women, older women. But within those groups, those 4 groups, who trusts each other more? Who isn't getting along? That sort of thing.
Well, we definitely see the group with the women that was like out in the ocean that Scout calls boneheads in a confessional. We see they're connecting. And we see
Philo and that's what I'm saying as we go on further, seeing like, okay, of these 5, who trusts who more?
Yeah.
And who's going to work closer with who if push comes to shove and they lose a challenge?
And I did notice this too, with like amongst these divisions. We kind of have that old-young divide in both tribes, but that divide is a lot more obvious on the women's tribe. The men are all like seem to be getting along. They're hanging out together. Like the vote kind of came down to that old versus young thing, but we don't have the confessionals of like, oh, these young people, they're not pitching in. They're not doing like the older group on the women's tribe does not like the younger women. We don't have that with the men.
Very true.
So I'm interested to see if that how those divides go, if that mends itself on the women's side, if it shows up a bit more on the men's side, because like the women won the challenge, but if you look at camp life, the men seem like a more cohesive unit. It seems like they have a better team chemistry and get along better.
Yeah, very true.
So, do we want to dive into Align Blindside First Boot before we tune out?
Sure, why not? Let's go with the 3 people I think got the most screen time in this episode. So I'm going to give you Chris, Chad, and Eliza.
Interesting. Do you think Chad got more than Bubba?
Yeah.
Chad had the big leg scene.
That was huge.
It was, but maybe Bubba's just on my mind because they spread him out. We got him at the boat. We got him at camp. We got him at tribal. We got him at the ceremony.
Yeah.
I would like to see a minute countdown, though, because I bet it's close between those two.
Yeah.
But I am based. Do you want me to go based on what I know or based on this episode only?
What you know.
Okay, so
I mean, I think at this point it's pretty. I didn't even know, to be honest, that we were trying to avoid anything we know. I think at this point it's pretty. Some things are just kind of given.
Well, we don't. Yeah, we don't have to completely. We can talk about that too. I assumed like we were trying to avoid spoilers where we could.
Yeah, we'll try to avoid it where we can in smaller things, but I
Chris,
think you have to, when you're doing a rewatch, also consider like who wins the game and who loses in final, and kind of pick out moments throughout the show that led us there.
yeah, and we can kind of because we didn't discuss that, so that's on us. No,
Yeah.
my question was not Chris related though,
Okay.
because based on this episode, I'll give both answers. Based on this episode, I'm first booting Chris because of that first confessional.
Okay.
Based on what I know Eliza is a bit of a bitter juror, and I just don't see us aligning super well for whatever reason. But I can't blindside her because I don't like. I feel like she'd be bitter with me as a juror, so that's why it was who I first boot. Based off of this episode, I'm first booting Chris, blindsiding Eliza, and aligning with Chad, and taking my and rolling the dice on if the leg is a sympathy card or not, because I don't think it would be. Everyone's always afraid of someone winning because of the sympathy vote. Nobody's ever actually won because of that.
Yeah.
Maybe Adam, but
Yeah,
even then,
Adam
his
was
vote
winning
was
no matter what.
unanimous. He didn't get all the votes based off of that one thing.
No, Adam was winning because he played by far a better game than the other two.
Hannah played pretty good.
Yeah. I still think Adam was leaps and bounds ahead of her.
I haven't watched that season for a while. I just remember
Fair
liking her more for a lot of it, but Adam had the cool like frenemy thing with Jay that I liked. But so based off of our premiere,
Do you want me to go?
yeah, you'll go in a second.
Oh,
Sorry, I got
I
this
thought
back.
you were done.
Based off of our premiere, first boot Chris, blindside Eliza, align with Chad. Based off of what I know, all of it, first boot Eliza, blindside Chris, align with Chad.
I am going to align with Eliza, first boot Chris, and blindside Chad.
Okay.
Chris, one, we know he's a winner. Two, he was a bad challenge performer. So either way you want to look at it, first boot makes sense there. I've met Eliza in real life. We've talked quite a bit online. I think she and I would work well together. That leaves me to blindside Chad, who I know the least about, but I think would be a very fair juror.
Yeah. Okay, and so you're just getting three people that I'm gonna describe it as made me chuckle this episode.
Okay.
One of them was not really a oh that's funny chuckle, and it was a I can't believe you just said that chuckle to a confessional. And so you get Dolly, who made me laugh because as we're watching a pig get slaughtered, oh, this doesn't faze me. I do this in real life with sheep all the time.
Yeah.
I raise sheep for this. You get Rory, who before that made me laugh with, everyone else is getting jabbed with spears and I'm not. Another black man must be welcome on the island. And you get Scout, who didn't really say anything funny, but I kind of just chuckled like, oh, geez, I can't believe you said that. Oh, they're boneheads. They're like cattle. Their favorite topic is themselves.
Yeah. Great choices. I'm going to align with Rory. I think I'd get along well with him. I think he'd be a trustworthy ally. Based on the commentary, I'm going to blindside Dolly. Amy says it was very disappointing that Dolly went home early and that she thinks that she's a very underrated player. So if Amy thinks Dolly was a good player, what could have had a lot of potential to be a good player, I probably want her on the jury, not in the final two.
Yeah.
And that leaves me to first boot Scout, who I think had a lot of complaints, but wasn't necessarily making much of a difference.
Yeah.
And that really goes through the whole season, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And so this was fun. This will be dropping on a Wednesday, so check us out. Check our feed out in a couple days on Saturday for our topical episode of the week, because we're going double episodes this off season, baby. So
Absolutely.
grab your torches and head back to camp, everyone.
Good night.